Hello everyone, you are on the Mobi channel and I am glad to see you on my channel again. Today, the full version of episode 39 was released on Dom Studio channel, and if I'm not mistaken, this is the longest episode of all that is on their channel. And as a rule in the full version of the episode, they added one big additional scene, but before that, so that you can delve into the plot in more detail, I will again tell you my opinion about all 5 parts of this episode and only then I will proceed to the analysis of the additional scene. But if you have already seen my previous analyses of all parts, then just rewind the video to this one, the time code that you see on your screen right now, and also be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video, as well as join my Discord server. After all, it is there that new details about the release of part 1 of episode 77 from Mr. Boom will appear first of all, but in any case, we are starting. Let me remind you that I'm going to start with the very first part of episode 39. My analysis is not that great, so I highly recommend that you watch this video from the beginning to the very end. So, episode 39 takes us back to a location that has been the site of a massive battle for several episodes now, and I think a lot of people remember the episode where Titan Drill Man and Titan Speaker Man fought an ugly big monster. You may remember this episode from the Easter egg of the monster universe, in which Titan Drill Man portrayed Godzilla and Titan Speaker Man was King Kong. Well, this episode also features Easter egg to the monster universe. For example, when Titan Drill Man began to finish the ugly monster, he as in the movie completely broke his jaw and with his fire breath destroyed him from the inside. But as it turned out, in this episode also appear another unexpected character, and it was Nemesis from the universe of Resident Evil. I remember when I used to have theories on my channel that maybe Simp Cameraman will become a character like Nemesis from the Resident Evil universe for just being left for dead. But as we know, Simp Cameraman is still in love with TV Woman and looks the same as before. I was also surprised that the Skibidi Nemesis is very large. He is literally the size of a Titan. And I'm also very curious about where all these characters from other universes come from. Is it possible that in this universe periodically open inter-universe portals and just through them and appear these characters in the universe Dom Studio? Well, hopefully we will find out about it in future episodes. And now let's get to the most interesting part of this episode. During the battle, the Titan Drill Man suffered a serious injury. It was so serious that the Titan Drill Man even took the Chief Drill Man out of his head, and thanks to this, the Titan was no longer controlled by anyone. Now he decided what he should do and how to act. Well, as it turned out, the Titan Drill Man could perform the transformation at any moment. But apparently he was waiting for the right moment, and in this episode this critical moment happened. Now Titan Drill Man has transformed into a big dragon, and I like the look of him a lot. I think he didn't use the transformation before, because after it, he probably wouldn't go back to the Titan stage again. And I also think it's a reference to the Transformers movie. Well, then, after transforming Titan Drill Man into a dangerous dragon, he was easily able to defeat the great Titan Nemesis. Well, at least he did some very serious damage to him. Even Titan Pencil Woman and Titan TV Man were shocked that Titan Drill Man has such power and is able to transform into a dragon. So what happened in this episode? Mostly epic battles, and they were so spectacular that sometimes I felt like I was watching an anime where the main characters were competing to see which of their superpowers were stronger. If you watch my analysis of this universe, you know that sometimes I say that the episode looks easy in terms of plot and how the characters interact with each other. This episode, on the other hand, in my subjective opinion, is very complex. And it shows, because the last episode was released about 2 weeks ago, which is quite a long time for Dom Studio channel. But their labors were not in vain, because in general, although this episode for me was difficult to watch, it still explains a little bit and adds to the plot. For example, we learned that the Titan Dragon Drill Man became even stronger when he bathed in red-hot lava. Although some people might have thought that he would probably just burn in it, but it didn't happen. Also, from the interesting plot points, we learned that on the side of Skibidi Toilet there are also Mutant 04 and 05, and as we learned from this episode, they were created to slightly delay the Titan Clockman. I wonder what abilities these enemy monsters have that they can resist the Titan Clockman. Be sure to write your theories in the comments, and while you're writing I'll continue my review for the second part of episode 39. The next interesting plot point for me came in the scene when the killer robot said the given phrase,
"I need to go somewhere else. I must convince my father."
I wonder what his father looks like, since he is a 3D pen, or is it a translator pen? Write in the comments who this robot is. I assume that his father is a 3D printer, or some kind of 3D printer agent, and honestly, I can't even imagine what he could look like. Also in this episode the next interesting plot point happened, because as you can understand, the Master, the same Master who was Alpha's master, he's recruited a new agent from the Alliance. It seems that they have a convergence of ideology, otherwise how can you explain that the Master, who with his orders was able to destroy an entire race of agents of the Alliance, began to work with a character who is part of the Alliance? It was really quite an unexpected turn. And of course I couldn't expect a robot assassin to be able to transfer his mind into a counter-titan and fully control him. I think in the future we will see an interesting battle between the titans, and of course it would be nice to see the Master himself and understand why he needs to destroy the Alliance and subjugate the entire universe. Be sure to write your theories in the comments, and I'll summarize this episode for now. First of all, the Dom Studio team did an incredible job on this episode, which already deserves a like and a subscription to their channel. Secondly, despite the fact that subjectively in my opinion the episode looks difficult, it nevertheless has some interesting plot points. Well, and in the third, I suppose, since in this universe appeared Titan Dragon, we just have to see Easter egg in one of the future episodes on the cartoon from DreamWorks, specifically How to Train Your Dragon. I personally will be looking forward to these Easter eggs, because I am a big fan of this cartoon. Also, since you've seen up to this point, I'd like to bring up the topic of streaming again. So I've decided that in addition to my Twitch channel, sometimes I will also stream on my YouTube channel, but remember that I still speak very bad English, so keep that in mind. So, after Titan Dragon defeated Skibidi Nemesis, he went to an unknown destination. He probably really thinks he's a dragon and decided that his home is the whole world, so he went to explore it. Or Drillman realizes that he has somehow become a Titan Dragon and goes to the secret Alliance base so they can turn him into a Titan again. But this is just my theory and we will learn more accurate information only in the next episodes. Then after the Titan Dragon flies away, we are shown how the elite Skibidi agent fights the Titan cameraman, and just like that this is the first moment that surprised me in this episode. Look closely, the Dom Studio team created this scene as if we were playing as this elite Skibidi agent ourselves, as in a video game, and personally fighting the Titan cameraman. I don't know about you, but if Dom Studio would release their own game based on their Skibidi Toilet multiverse, I would love to play it because it looks awesome. Next, after Titan Cameraman has gone on a rampage, or become enslaved by TV radiation, we switch to the next main character in this episode, and specifically I'm talking about Titan Clockman, who is still holding back some dangerous nuclear missiles with his sphere. And then Male 07 himself arrives. They have an interesting dialogue, which I advise you to personally watch, and then goes inside the protective sphere to activate all the nuclear missiles, but inside, as we know from past episodes, is an agent alarm clock, which thanks to his abilities trying to prevent the launch of these missiles. But suddenly Male 07 appears and it seems that now he will destroy the alarm clock agent and launch these very dangerous missiles, but no. Somehow there is also a Clockman agent from the future and a battle begins between them. Apparently the Clockman agent from the future wants to prevent what Male 07 would have done, so he intervenes in this timeline. I also have a theory that in the next episode this battle may not happen, because as we know from Male 07's memories, the scientist told him that the Titan Clockman can see everything that can happen in the next 10 seconds, and it is possible that Male 07 was testing it. But again, this is just my theory. But the second outcome is that the battle will actually take place, and it will apparently happen either in the additional scenes for episode 39, or it will happen in episode 40. Well, part 4 of episode 39 continues the events of the last 3 parts, and in case you have forgotten, I will remind you that the Commander Male 07 has passed through the holding sphere of the Titan Clockman in order to launch dangerous missiles, but inside the sphere there was already an Agent Alarm Clockman, who was using his abilities to try to disarm the missile launcher and stop the missiles from launching anyway. Male 07 would have easily destroyed the Agent Alarm Clock, but for some unknown reason in this place was also an Agent Clockman from the future, and just with this begins the 4th part of the 39th episode, and specifically with the fact that between them began a fight, and to the aid of Rolex Clockman came his faithful friend. It is Spider Clockman. He, thanks to his web, was able to hold back Male 07 for a while, but he was still stronger. After all, he managed to get out of this web cocoon, and then he destroyed Spider Clockman, chopping it into pieces. After that, Male 07 thought that -1 opponent, but no, as we learn further, Spider Clockman can recover. But it takes time, and when the plot comes to the fact that now should happen the battle of Agent Clockman Rolex and Male 07, we are transferred to another location, and specifically we are shown an elite squad of agents who went to save the only drill woman. This part of the episode begins with the speaker woman starting to destroy the dangerous Skibidi mutants, and she does it very beautifully. It doesn't look like the usual fight that we are used to seeing in the show. In this episode all the fights look very beautiful and unusual. I especially liked how the battle between Drillman Assassin and Elite Skibidi Agent takes place. Their whole fight looks very unusual and colorful. And moments, if you catch a frame, the picture is not even ashamed to put as a wallpaper on your phone or desktop monitor. Also, the outcome of the battle I was also pleased, because despite all the illusions that created an Elite Skibidi Agent, Drillman Assassin was still able to resist him inflicted maximum critical damage, thanks to which further this Elite Skibidi Agent was no longer able to fight further. Then when we are again shown what happens to other characters in this location, we see TV Woman, or rather how she tries to hold off the attack of one Skibidi mutants, but luckily she is saved by Plungerman and then she sees that the laser cage in which was Drill Woman stopped working. TV Woman took advantage of the moment and was able to teleport Drill Woman to a safer place. Then when the opponents were already defeated, an interesting dialogue took place between them, during which one of the Elite Skibidi agents says that despite the fact that you participate in this war, it does not give you the right to kill children. And the elite squad of Alliance agents naturally has no idea what he's talking about, because they've never done it. But you and I know what we're talking about. He means the killer robot Pencil Man, who on one of the missions destroyed a whole village of people with their children. And then we also hear the robot's voice coming out of the pen he gave to the Drillman Assassin when they first met. Even though he told them that the Elite Skibidi Agent was lying to them, we the viewers know the truth, and then this pen suddenly draws big dangerous bombs in the sky that immediately start falling. Fortunately, among the elite squad of agents is Clock Woman, who was able to slow down time for these drawn bombs and was able to prevent some of the agents from being injured. Next, Plungerman reminds Drillman that he should have his displacement cube with him. He pulls it out, looks at the elite Skibidi agents as if he wants to save them too, but decides not to do so and only save his own squad. Then they teleport and the painted bombs start falling and blowing up the building where the elite Skibidi agents are left. And when it seemed that the life of these characters in the series is over, something strange begins to happen, namely time seems to freeze, but this is not the work of the Clockman agents, it was done by someone else. Then, for some unknown reason, elite Skibidi agents start to see all this and they won't realize it's happening. Then there is a brand new character that we have not seen before. The camera slowly went up and only at the very end of the episode we saw that this new character was a Dom Studio character, or what we might call the Dom agent. He is the secret agent of this universe, the Skibidi Toilet Multiverse. But why did he do it? Did he violate some canonical event with this action or not? At this point, it's still hard to answer why he did it. But I have a theory, which is that these characters are needed by the secret agent, Dom agent, to help him with something, and in return he will let them live. But what is it that these characters are supposed to do for the secret agent? Perhaps for starters they should just keep an eye on certain characters and report everything to the Dom agent. Or maybe Dom wants to show the agents that the Alliance is not as bad as they think it is. It is possible that Dom wants to show that not the whole Alliance is to blame, but just one of them, and now I am talking about the robot C-Pen, which as we know now controls the body of the Counter Titan. But these are just my theories. You can also write your theories in the comments and I will gladly read them. So, Part 5, Episode 39. This time it's the final part of Episode 39, and since you're watching this video, you've probably already watched the episode. So first of all, I'm going to try to guess what we might be shown in the extra scenes for the full 39th episode. You all saw the commander of Male 07 fly away, and most likely after he learned from the Rolex clock man that his daughter was alive, he probably went in search of her, because as we learned in this episode, he could always track down where his daughter was at any time. And in case you've forgotten, I'll remind you, his daughter is the only person to survive from that very village, and it was only because of this Photoman agent, who was able to save her from the killer robot C-Pen. And as we know, even when C-Pen tried to destroy Bethany again, she was able to save herself, but the Photoman was killed. But judging by what happened in this episode, I can't be so sure that he can't be resurrected in the future. Well, I've made my point about what might happen next. Now let me give you my opinion on the plot of this episode. First of all, I really liked the battles. The Male 07 commander looked like a real Homelander from the Boys universe. And Rolex Clockman looked like Dr. Spange from the Marvel universe, and yes, I am a fan of these movies and series, so I really liked the fights in this episode. I also want to discuss the moments in which our main characters in this episode traveled across universes. The first universe they entered was the Monster Up universe. I think that these guys were comfortable working together, because as far as I understand both teams work in Blender, so everything looks very nice and interesting. The next universe that Male 07 and Rolex Clockman got into was the Verlance universe, and there were probably some difficulties here, because it looked like Dom Studio team made the story of these characters in this universe on green screen already at the editing stage. They overlaid one video on another. But even despite this, in general everything looks very good, especially at the moment where Rolex Clockman called some titan from the Verlance universe into his universe. And yes, I apologize for not knowing the names of all the characters from all the Skibidi Toilet universes, but if you know who it is, then write me about it in the comments and I will read it with great interest. Next, we are nearing the end of the episode, and I don't know why, but I insanely loved the scene where Male 07 punches the head of Rolex Clockman and utters a phrase.
That's what you get for yapping in the middle of the fight.
It was very funny and reminded me of the movie Deadpool and Wolverine. And by the way, post in the comments if you've seen this movie yet or not. Personally, I've only watched it once so far, but I'm going to watch it again very soon, because such beautiful and interesting movies should be watched several times. So, back to the episode. The ending of this episode is very ambiguous, because I don't quite understand why Titan Clockman was looking at Rolex Clockman like that. Maybe he was looking at him like that because he knew that it was him who ordered the alarm clock agent to kill Chief Clockman, otherwise there would be events that would destroy their universe. And also in the moments in which Rolex Clockman calls different characters in his universe may mean that in the future, near the end of the series, we will see a similar scene from the movie Avengers Infinity War, in which the final battle brings together all the superheroes from different universes. But maybe it won't happen, because it's just my theory. And now I'm finally done giving my opinion on every part of this episode, so now let's move directly to that one extra scene. As soon as Rolex Clockman flew into the portal along with his time spider, not far from the Titan Clockman a new boss appeared that goes by the name 04. And honestly, I would call him an unfinished version of Titan Fan Man, because something he looks like a fan. And also one of his abilities reminded me of this video.
Fortnite Battle Pass.
It is possible that the Dom Studio team was inspired by this funny video when creating a version of Mutant 04.
I just shit out my ass.
Titan Clockman easily destroyed it, but after that, almost instantly in the location appeared in the next mutant, this Mutant 05. In appearance, he reminds me of a fan, a mole, and it controls Skibidi Toilet. It is possible that this mutant is a reference to a character from some universe, but I cannot remember from what universe, and so if you have any options, then be sure to write them in the comments, and we go on. This mutant mole, Titan Clockman defeats it again, and he does it quite easily. Next, Titan Clockman decides to pump himself up as much speed as possible to get to the Alliance Titans faster to help them. Or he goes to the secret laboratory of the enemies to prevent the G-Man apocalypse. Because after the Titan flies away at the speed of light, we switch to the main toilet base, where a battle between the Alliance and Skibidi mutants takes place on a bridge. The battle itself looks epic, but of the interesting things I can only highlight this moment.
Fortnite Battle Pass.
Yes, it's a reference to one of the very first episodes of the Skibidi Toilet multiverse, and in my opinion the Skibidi adversary is still soft on the green shirt cameraman. And then we see how the timer shows already 99 and 9/10% of readiness for the G-Man apocalypse, so I think that the Titan Clockman flies here to prevent the apocalypse, but whether it will succeed or not we will probably find out tomorrow, because Dom Studio also already announced that tomorrow will be released the 40th episode of Skibidi Toilet Multiverse. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on all notifications, so you will not miss the analysis of the new episode.
Fortnite Battle Pass.